Alright, just a quick shop tour here. If you're not familiar, this shop is it's a 3-bedroom apartment in an apartment complex. You work with what you got. But anyway, come to the front door, and directly to the right I've got a dedicated miter stand. Just a regular 10-inch miter saw, no compound, no slotting, no nothing. Just a regular chop saw. Now, all my stands for chop saws, I've always had this open area right here, I guess, from the saw to your support. I don't like a full table in here because as I'm cutting, as soon as I get done cutting, I'm going to take one piece, set it down, and I can still run the rest of my board through without this board being in my way. So I can run multiple pieces without having to put the board somewhere else, cut another piece, put it somewhere else, cut another piece. I've got a 10-inch sliding compound I'm trying to make a dedicated stand for, so it just sits in the corner for right now. When I need it, I just throw a board across some sawhorses and use it. 3 trash bins that always stay too full. Normally I don't keep any of my sheet goods here, but I'm about to use that piece, so I'll just leave it. Typically when I get my work started, I stack all of my lumber into this corner, close proximity to all my saws basically, but this is where I load my lumber up for the current project. A simple cleat system that was way overkill, but I just happened to have a 2x8 and ripped an angle on it and it worked. Some upper kitchen cabinet salvage. I'm short, that's tall, barely gets used. This is my portable table saw. A lot of bad reviews about it, a lot of good reviews about it. I'm pleased with it. I've had it for a couple months and I'll do a review soon. I want to give it more time for it to sink in, I guess, before I put an honest review on it. From the back of the saw, I've got about 12 to 14 feet that I could run something through if need be for that long. Actually, that's closer to 16 feet. And then from the blade to the window, I've got 7 feet, if I'm not mistaken. So if I'm ripping down a 10 foot 2x10 typically, then just open up the window, rip it through all the way outside. It'll stay up, and then it'll stay on my outfeed table / workbench or whatever, and then get to cutting some more. Typically, this makeshift panel sled is always on my saw. I love this thing. All my miter gauges and sleds, I like to work from the front of the sled. That way I'm close to the blade as I start. No need for a lot of unnecessary travel just to get to the back of the fence. Now I do have a bigger sled that I like to have the fence on the back side of, but this is what I typically use right here. I like the piece to be up front when I'm running. A little extension I just made. I'm going to make another one for this side, except I'm going to do it a little bit differently. This dresser, well, it used to be a dresser. What used to be a dresser also used to be my miter stand until I bought a cheapo table saw off Craigslist. And it happened to be the perfect height with this to be an outfeed table without the platform on top, so I used it as that. And then I got this porter cable, and it was considerably higher. So a 2x4 standing up, 2x4 laying flat, and 3/4 plywood makes that height exactly like a 1/16 or an 1/18 of an inch lower than the table saw. So it's actually just perfect for an outfeed table, which also works out great too, having this little I-beam support. I've got my commonly used items under here, like cheapo brad nailer, cheap pin nailer. I don't use this brad nailer a lot. I leave it out here though because I have a dust cap on the end of it. I've got a Hitachi with a swivel on the end that I don't have a dust cap for, but this is the lightest brad nailer I have ever used. So that's the main one I use. Little odds and ends storage in this one. But anyway, these little cubbies are absolutely great for just hiding commonly used stuff. Hex bits, all my writing utensils. An El Cheapo dado blade set, one of the Fruit Advanti Pros, Chinese model. A lot of horrible reviews. Got this one as a gift, and I'm lucky I got it. It cuts absolutely great, absolutely flat bottoms. Very happy with it. I know I have not read one good review about it, but I got a good one. So some odds and ends storage over here, tight bond, and a little water bucket for my brush. Behind the saw, I don't think I have anything back there. Just some coals, a little camera stand for when I'm recording, and got some old black walnut that I'm trying to salvage, which I hope I can, but most of it so far I've cut up has been trash in my dust collection, so to say. I just stick that fan in the window, blow it out, and when I use the air hose to blow out the shop. Moving along from the bench, I've got a little stand I made. This dry erase board is absolute must for me. I've got an attention span of a goldfish, so whatever I'm working on, I'll throw the dimensions up there, and no matter where I'm at in the shop, I can quickly look up and see what I'm doing. Little drill station. This empty spot houses this mobile assembly table, I guess you could say. Just found this sink-based cabinet, threw some casters on the bottom of it, and put a scrap piece on the top, and you know, an instant assembly table, mobile job, whatever, you know. But anyway, when I'm not working on something, I just slide it in this corner lengthwise. That way I still have enough room to work in between the two cabinets. And also, it still leaves me about 2 feet to walk into here. Like I said, this is an apartment, so obviously I've got a kitchen in here. A lot of junk storage, whatever. My day job stuff. Little drafting kit. I've got an associate's degree in drafting, which is completely pointless in the city I live in. But just moved here a couple years ago, so. Anyway, long story. DeWalt 735. That thing is a beast planer. Got a little in-feed out-feed table. I don't use this that much, but when I do, my goodness, is that thing awesome. Just random storage here. I've got a bucket full of, about 2 inches on the bottom, full of mineral spirits. I use that to clean my saw blade. Keep just a piece of plexi on the top of it for a lid, but I actually just let one soak in there all the time. So there's a saw blade down in there soaking. A kitchen sink that was destroyed before I even got here. But tell you what, having this in here, one of these days when I get to make my own shop, that is an absolute must to have a sink, some type of running water basin, something or other. I use this thing all the time, obviously with finishes and whatnot, but man, is it ever handy. I've got 3 spray guns. I've got a little touch-up gun that I typically use for spraying smaller projects with clear lacquer. I've also got a larger, this came as a set, as that one, and this larger gun with larger cup. Campbell Hosfeld, I don't know if I pronounced that right. Came with a little Walmart set for like 60 bucks. That's what I used to start getting into spraying. And since then, I've gotten a dedicated Harbor Freight gun specifically for my clear finish, my clear lacquer. That way there's nothing other than my finish run through that gun. I mean, that was only 14 bucks. That's a Harbor Freight gem. One of the very good finds at Harbor Freight. Various old paints. Someone told me on Lumberjacks, recommended this Target Coatings EM6000 acrylic lacquer. Several people actually recommended it. Absolutely awesome stuff. That is a really good finish. Something I recommend doing. I wrote the price of what I paid and all the projects. I keep a list of all the projects that I've done with this. That way I know how far my dollar is going on that stuff. I've got a dedicated can specifically for, I do a lot of pine projects, so specifically for amber shellac, mixed denatured alcohol, and just some other Rust-Oleum paint. I've got all my cheap Minwax stains, spray paints, and then wood filler and paste. All my harsher to the nose chemicals. A little bit of Thompson's up here. Random junk, and then my little safety supplies, I guess, some gloves, earplugs, dust mask, lubricants, manuals, my router storage, and one of the worst routers ever made. That is a plastic skill router. Absolute junk. Not going to spend much time there. Cheapo bits, couple decent bits, some other junk in here. I've been doing a lot of cutting boards lately, so I keep this little tray for mineral oil and some other little experimental junk. Little hardwood pile, just scrap little hardwoods that would otherwise be junk for a project, but come in handy for little hard pieces that you need for jigs and whatnot in the shop. Little tool station. Way too many circular saws. Way too many. This one was given to me as a gift. It's the only circular saw I really use. Well, I typically use it with a 12-inch speed square, cut off, cross-cut, longer 2x10s, 2x12s. This one, I had this, I forget the brand, this cut-off jig for it, and I used to use it a lot. I still kind of use it for ripping down longer 2x10s and whatnot, but it collects dust more than anything. This little circular saw, I found it in the trash, plugged it up, it worked. Never used it, never put a blade on it. Maybe I'll find somebody who can use it and I'll give it to them. A little Skill 18-volt combo kit. I traded junk to get this, so one man's junk for another man's junk. These batteries are not that good. I don't know if a new battery will make these any better. Just a pretty junky setup. The batteries, I mean, they take like 5 minutes to get off. They're so horrible. Got a little mini drill press scroll saw stand with a bunch of storage underneath. Stuff I typically use a lot. My DeWalt laminate router and some disc sanding pads. My Hitachi random orbital sander. This thing is a tank when you put some 80 grit on it or whatever. That will chew through some wood quick. Cheap little palm sander that I haven't plugged up in years. And something else that'll chew through wood quick. A 4x24 Milwaukee belt sander. I have no clue how old this thing is. It was given to me years ago. And that thing will kick up some dust, put it that way. I took my wife's dining table a couple months ago and made a router table for it. Out of it, rather. And the whole table sagged right in the middle. As soon as I cut this thing, it lasted like a week or so. And then it developed a significant bow. So I just cut off the ends, and I'll throw my router in there occasionally and use it. But typically, the insert I made is still bolted to the router. I just clamp it to a table or something. That works just fine. Got all my quicker clamps right here. A bunch of 36s and some 12s. 32s and some 12s, I think. My go-to kind of shelf. Little push sticks, which used together are absolutely great. A lot of people don't like this style because you don't have much forward hold down pressure, but used in conjunction with one another, these are absolutely great. Horrible by themselves, but great together. Air hose. I've got, let me turn this light on. Down this hallway, I've got my air compressor hose going all the way to that back bedroom. Turns the corner, and I put my air compressor in the closet in that room, piled up with a bunch of crap around the door. It's relatively quiet out here. The most horrible way to wind up a hose, I found out. Every time, it's just a board, 2 boards screwed together. to give it a place to wrap the hose around. Every time you unwind the hose, you have to unkink the hose. It gets all twisted up. So typically I leave about 12 feet hanging on the floor at all times. Couple planes, couple other junk shelves. All my bar clamps and these cheapo Harbor Freight specials. These are actually, I paid, what did I pay? $6.50 for these. 48-inch aluminum bar clamps. Well, whatever you want to call them, clamps. They clamp really strong, but they twist. So for $6, 48 inches, you know, it works really good. Down this hallway, I've got, let me back up. Down this hallway, I've got all my 2x storage. I typically use a lot of 2x10s, and these are some 16-footers all the way down there. Obviously, we got 16 feet over here. I've got 3/4 and 5/8 ply over here, and then a 1 foot gap, and then I've got a crap load of 1/4 inch sanded ply. You know, this stuff was here when I got here, when I made this into a shop. The apartment complex I live in, I'm also maintenance, by the way. That's why I've done this shop setup. They want it gone, so by gosh, I'll get it gone for them. I'll make something out of it. My little assembly table, like I said, pull it out of the way. Typically, when I'm working on something, I like to make a little SketchUp drawing, and then a cut list, and then a cut layout, and then I'll use that in conjunction with these other platforms to cut everything. Anyway, let me move this out of the way, and I've got my jigs on this wall. Top one is a 8-foot straight edge for the circular saw. Cuts panels a lot easier. I've got a very crude quick set tenon jig. I say quick set, it's quick for me to set. A little 45-degree compound angle sled. I set this up bolted to my miter slot, or my miter gauge for my table saw, or just set it into the miter saw bed. A couple of little patterns here. Push stick pattern, bread box pattern. I like to make a full-size drawing of whatever it is I'm working on, if I can. Now this is a little bread box, so it's very easy to make one. You know, you can cut your pieces, line them up with this board, and see if it fits. I've got some various other router patterns behind it. A little miter saw, or a miter sled for the table saw. This is just an MDF back with an MDF triangle on the bottom of it, 2 little hand holes. I know this top piece of MDF will wear out. I kind of built this as a prototype just to see if I'd like it. 4 little screws here, you pop it out and put a plywood or whatever you want on here, but this is, of course, MDF edging. That's getting a little fuzzy. I don't think it'll last too much longer, but it does the job now. When the time comes, I'll replace it. I do a lot of benches, and this little jig right here has cut my assembly time down in half. Basically, that is this interior here is the frame of the legs, and you can set your leg in, and all your blue cross sections is where the glue goes. Drop the glue on there, put the top horizontal pieces on, screw it together real quick, good to go. These outside pieces is where you put your back support, and then your back slats will go across them, you screw them in place. Very efficient use of the, or very efficient build of the benches that I make, and chairs. This is that other panel sled I was telling you about. Crosscut sled. It works great. Got a little box behind to protect yourself, but it works great. These sawhorses are, these are workhorses. They're not sawhorses. These are awesome. You know, put them anywhere in the shop, do whatever you want to. They stack, they take up 1 little footprint, good to go. Use them wherever you want to use them. So that's it. A long 20-minute shop tour, I guess. You know, mobile base, table saw, miter saws, you know, lots of storage, couple platforms for working on items. There's 3 bedrooms in this apartment, And those two on this left-hand side are just junk storage for my job. Back one is junk storage. Bathroom's blocked off. There's nothing in there anyway. So basically, living room, dining room, kitchen, shop, in an apartment complex. One of the benefits of being maintenance for your day job. But yeah, hope you like it. Hope you can pick out something in here that might help you. And thanks for watching.